All right, guys, welcome back to the Basement Ballers. Today we have a special guest in the building. Would you like to introduce yourself, young man?
If you've seen me on the TikTok lives, my name's Haji.
Mm-hmm.
Real Madrid spokesperson, of course. Florentino Perez's right-hand man. You
Mm-hmm.
already know how it is.
So today, what I was meaning to discuss with you, my friend, is basically just so now we have one. We're one game into the season. Both our teams won. Your team a bit more fortuitously than other teams, obviously, but basically just discuss some tactics this year. Discuss what your prospects are for the season, what you think's gonna happen in terms of Champions League, the league, if certain players you'd like to discuss, etc. Just a general overall discussion of your team. I will do the same about mine, but since you are the guest, the floor is yours. I will let you start.
One game in, obviously it's not much to go by, but if I were to kind of put my 2 cents in there, uh, I liked what I saw defensively. I think that if we still had the same coach from last season, we would have conceded either a goal or more shots. I don't know if you know, but the whole game against Osasuna, we didn't concede one shot on target, which I think
Mhm.
is a plus for us, you know? I think it's a big plus.
That is
Um,
true. I noticed that, like, as opposed to maybe with Ancelotti, you guys, even though the attacking itself wasn't great, like, yeah, you guys had a lot of shots, but I wouldn't say you had many clear cut chances. But at least you guys were in their half like the whole time. And Osasuna's not a bad team either. I believe they finished like ninth last year. So you guys were
no,
on their
no, not
neck,
at all.
which is something with Ancelotti, you guys would have just been like, you know, sat back. They would have maybe
Yeah.
got a couple shots on you and stuff for sure.
100%. And if you remember also, uh, not to mention what happened like with your team, because we're talking about Madrid, but last season you did lose the first game against Osasuna.
Hmm.
Um, and which like kind of shows like they're not a bad team regardless.
Hmm.
But going into the first game of the season and not conceding any shots on target, I think was a plus defensively. I think we do have to work like more offensively. And what I think that Alonso was going for in this game was basically, if you remember years ago when we would play a 4-3-3, it would be Ronaldo, Benzema, and Isco on the right wing.
Hmm.
And then Isco would drop down to the middle. So I think he's running the same thing with Arda Güler dropping down to the middle and leaving like two attackers with Mbappe and Vinny, which I don't hate the game plan, but obviously being the first game of the season, there's still chemistry to be developed as you know, with the game that we just played against Osasuna, we had Dean Huijsen, Carreras, Trent,
Basically, a
all three
completely
of them
new
like
backline. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So we had like a bunch of new players in the starting 11, which I think that was like what's it called? That's why like the chemistry wasn't there, but over the course of this season, the chemistry will build. I just hope that it builds to where everyone can mesh perfectly because we saw how last season Mbappe and Vinny were struggling to connect and
Mhm.
everyone saying that, oh, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Well, they might be right, but we still haven't seen it under an actual tactical system. With Carlo's game plans, yeah, people say, "Oh, Madrid won Champions League 2 seasons ago, and then 2 seasons before that." That's true, but you go look at those Champions League campaigns, and a lot of them were us chasing the whole game. Like we were losing and we're chasing the win, and we ended up getting it. And to be honest with you, as great as those wins were, I would much rather my team be dominant and, just kill off the opponent. Kind of
Mhm.
like how Barcelona were last season in La Liga. Very
Yeah,
dominant, you know.
the thing with Madrid basically is just that. So I'm of the opinion. So what I liked. So I watched the first game. Now, obviously, I don't like Madrid, as you know. So obviously, I'm gonna troll a bit, but I did genuinely like few things about their play. Like I noticed that their pressing was way better. Like they were pressing way better. Now, granted, obviously, as soon as not like the biggest, I guess, sample size. When it comes to the bigger teams,
Mhm.
we'll have to see. But so far I did like what I saw in terms of the pressing. Also, another thing that I liked was, we all know, like, that's why I wanted him at Barca. But Dean Huijsen, to me, I think is going to be a great, great center back for you guys, because he's basically
100%.
someone at one point mentioned it on Twitter. Now, obviously, it's very premature, but some guy was like, "Man, Madrid found their Tony Kroos replacement with Dean Huijsen," because he was basically going into like the midfield, is pushing up a bit into the midfield and like spraying passes, whatever. There's also a few times I remember him making like overlapping runs with Vinny, which I don't know why he was doing that, but like
Yeah.
those are some of the stuff I like. But the stuff that I don't understand for the moment, anyways, obviously it's the first game, so it could be tweaked out. So Trent, when he was with Liverpool, obviously had Mohamed Salah on the right wing with him, so him and Salah had like a tandem, so to speak, right? The thing right
Okay.
now is that the first game in, and if Alonso doesn't plan on playing Rodrigo, my thing is right now Madrid doesn't really have like a right winger per se. I know Brahim Diaz played there technically, but he's not a right winger. He's more of a midfielder, right? So
Mhm.
unless Madrid get like an actual striker that Trent can ping like balls to, because Mbappe is not a striker you like cross the ball to. He's more of a striker you play the ball into his feet or in space. You know what I mean? But Trent's a right back, so
Mhm.
it's going to be rare for him to do that. So the thing with Trent is I feel like this year he's not going to be, people are going to call him overrated or washed or whatever, just because he doesn't have necessarily the winger to team up with for the moment, and also doesn't have the striker to play crosses into, right? Because at Liverpool, for
Mhm.
example, throughout his whole career, he had Firmino, he had Darwin Nunez, Jota, rest in peace. He had him. He had, I know Gakpo a few times did play striker, not as much, but he did play. But he always had like strikers to play. But the thing is with Mbappe is he's not
Yeah.
like a quintessential striker. So Trent
Yeah. He's
this
not a he's not
year
a true nine at all.
is going to be a bit complicated. Also, as mentioned before, Madrid don't really have like a midfield controller. Me and you have discussed this like before, it's privately, but Madrid are really lacking a like Pedri type player, just someone who like gets the ball, knows when to play a pass, knows when to recycle possession, to calm play down, push play up, whatever. They're lacking a player like that. And also, before I let you continue, one clip that made me laugh. So you obviously watched the game. You remember that one
Yeah.
time Mbappe did like a roulette past two players, juked the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
one, and then there, I think, yeah, Carreras, the left back. Someone was pushing with so much space on the left side with no one on him, and this guy decides to play a back pass.
Yeah. And he played it. Yeah. I know. I
Like,
saw that.
for me, that's one of the things where I'm like, this is why I'm telling you, a player like Lamine Yamal is special, because Lamine Yamal does that. That pass, not whether it leads to a goal or not, I don't know, but that pass is being made. Like, I feel
Oh yeah. 100%.
like there's a certain aspects that like Alonso needs to like iron out with like his front line, and Vinny, I just don't know what's going on with him, man. I'll be honest. Like,
I mean, I I don't know either. To be honest with you, I watched the game. He wasn't, in on his best. Uh, and I'll spare him for this because he is my favorite player on the team, and I'll spare him because it is the first game of the season.
mm,
So, I can understand waiting to get settled into the season and, building, getting your form back and all that. So I'll spare him that.
mm,
But I mean, to be honest with you, watching that game, you're right with like the whole needing a midfielder that controls the tempo of the game
mm,
because at the end of the day, the current state of football is that's what it is. It's
mm,
basically you need high press and you need a player in your midfield that's basically like your floor general.
mhm.
It's controlling the tempo offensively
Like a
and controlling
Cruz.
the tempo defense. Yeah, like a
Mm,
Tony Cruz
mhm,
basically. Now, the problem is with our team, one thing that we lack, we don't have a player that's like so like excellent when it comes to actually doing like break line passes, crosses, over the top pass, these types of things.
mhm,
We we have players that can pass. Like for example, like Jude, he's a good passer. Obviously, we know he's out for the next 3 months. I would say Valverde, he's a decent passer, but you don't have a like you said,
Goulaert
like
is
a
decent.
Pedri.
So Goulaert is, I think, your
Yeah,
most technical midfielder. But You guys, I feel like just
Yes.
don't have a midfielder that can just do the basic things correct. Because
Hmm.
I'll give you an example, right? Like as good as like Barca's midfield, for example, we have like 6, 7 players deep. Like our midfield is the strongest asset of our team, in my opinion. It's the place we have the most depth, whatever. And we have a lot of good ones. You know, De Jong, Gavi, Casado, Bernal, Fermin Lopez, Olmo. We have all these players. Don't get me wrong, very good. If Pedri's not playing, Barca look completely different than when he is. Because whenever in the games that Pedri didn't play last year, and it wasn't just through injury because he didn't get injured last year, but it was through just like rest and whatever. You could just tell, man, we looked a lot like Real Madrid. Like the play was slow, it felt lethargic, it felt like we lacked ideas. So that's how important a player like that is. Because without Pedri, we don't like obviously Lamine Yamal and Rafinha do take the headlines, but without Pedri, that team is not nearly as good as it is. It's like Rodri with Man City. A lot of people discredited him for the Ballon d'Or. And don't get me wrong, I thought Vinny should have won it, to be fair. But you see that a midfielder of that niche is very important to a team because the second they're not there, the whole team just collapses. With Madrid, for example, Tony Cruz left and you guys just like, well, didn't leave, he retired. And you guys just like, it's just been like, it's been like the midfield's just been
Downhill.
dead. It's been dead. Like it's just because you guys have too many midfielders, I feel like, who do sort of the same stuff. So Chouameni and Camavinga are both DMs. Yeah, Camavinga is a bit more dynamic, I'd say, but they're both DMs. Jude is an attacking midfielder. Valverde is kind of like just like a. He's kind of just like a. I call him like like a bunny basically because bunnies just freaking like jump everywhere and have hella energy. That's what he is, bro. Is he's a guy who runs like he has a battery in him. He just runs everywhere. He's all
Yeah.
hustle, whatever, but he doesn't have like a niche specialty. He's one good thing is that he has a wicked strike on him. I'll say that he has a big shot on him. And then Goulet is your only midfielder, I'd say, who actually does like the little things, like the passes, the 1-2s, whatever. But he's still young, and even then he's not that type of midfielder. He can do it, but he's not like that specialty midfielder. There's only few of them that do exist. Like right now, it's Pedri. I'd say Vitinha is one of them, even though Vitinha is kind of like, I don't think he's as good as Pedri, but I'd say him. That's like that I can think of. There you have maybe Rodri who can do that, and like maybe that's it. The ones I can think of, to be honest.
No, you're not wrong at all. See, the way I look at it is if you don't have that type of midfielder on your team,
Mm,
what like the only way to overcome missing that key component is by building a very, very strong chemistry with the team.
mm,
And we didn't even have that after Cruz left
mm,
because see, the way that I was looking at Carlo Ancelotti's tactics was put a starting 11 out there and then just yeah ilahi, you know what I mean, like good luck basically, like
yeah,
you know what I mean,
it's
like
give it to
that's
Vinny and
really what it
inshallah,
was.
bro.
Yeah, basically that's literally what it was. And yeah, granted, oh, we won a Champions League from it, but like I said earlier, I don't want to win a Champions League where I'm down 3 goals and then I score two in minute 90 and 92 and then go to extra time, and I'd rather dominate the game.
Hmm.
But see, that's the issue with today's game. Like you name two players that fit that like that caliber of player that you're talking about, and that's Pedri, Vitinha, and potentially Rodri.
Hmm.
If we wanted to go out and get a player of that caliber, who really is available like under 100 mil that we could get? Because let's be honest, Pedri's not leaving for Madrid. Vitinha is not leaving for Madrid, and if he is, PSG is not going to ask for anything under 120 because that's their,
Hmm.
bread and butter, damn near. And then who else are you going to get? Odegaard? Fuck no,
It's like
absolutely not.
for me, I think like the one player low key who could have done a job for you would have been Zubamendi, but now he went to Arsenal. Not as good as Pedri, but I feel like you don't necessarily need a Pedri. Like obviously, it would be good to have like a player of that type, but you can overcome that with two things. One, if your attack, because obviously the attack also has issues. Like we'll get to the attack after, but the attack also has issues. That say Madrid's attack was very good, their midfield was lacking. You can overcome certain things. At the end of the day, your midfield still has a lot of world class players, right? But
100%.
you need to basically find that like chemistry. For me, Madrid's best midfield would be I would put Chouameni, DM, Goulet, and Bellingham. To me, that's your best midfield. Okay. But I mean, Ancelotti last year was playing a lot of, Valverde there. I mean, Valverde was also playing right back from time to time. He was putting in Tchouaméni, he was putting in Bellingham, but Valverde and Bellingham in the same midfield is like redundant. It doesn't make sense in my opinion. So,
No, I think people forget because to me, and from what I've seen with our games, I think people forget how great of a ball controller Camavinga is.
mhm,
And yeah, he's been injured. I honestly think Camavinga, when he comes back from injury, will play a very big role in the midfield because the only other player that you have in the midfield that
mhm,
is just as defensive with good ball control and just as offensive is Jude, like outside of Camavinga. See, Valverde is more defensive, obviously, because we've seen him start at right back for like a good portion of last season.
mhm,
And then you have Goulet, who's more offensive, because let's be honest, Goulet is very small, like in terms of physicality.
mhm,
So it's easy to bully him in the midfield.
mhm.
But when you have Jude, who's a good, I think to me, Jude is good defensively. He has good hustle and all that. Camavinga's the same way, but he's just been riddled with injuries, so we
Yeah.
have to deal with that. But like, here's the thing: defense, midfield, attack, they all have to work together. And the
Mm,
problem was last season, from what we saw, our defense was lacking very bad. Our midfield was probably the only thing that was doing okay. And then our attack was lacking
mm,
because Vinny and Rodrigo's forms had dropped to shit. And then Mbappe was the only one that was scoring. And he ended up winning the Golden Boot for it. But I mean, like, at what cost? You know what I
mm.
mean? We went trophyless, so who cares?
Well, that's what I'm
Um,
thinking, bro. I've been saying this for the longest time after you guys won the Champions League in 24, and pretty much everyone knew that Mbappe was going to Madrid at that point, right? And I remember my
yeah.
friends were all getting excited. I was like, listen, bro, Madrid with Mbappe, I'm not saying they're not going to win necessarily. I mean, who knows? Because when you have world class players, you always tend to figure it out. That's how Madrid have won most of their Champions Leagues. It's not that they were necessarily better than the teams they played, they just had better players. And that's what won them games. But the thing is that I basically suspected that with Mbappe, Vinny, Bellingham, and Rodrigo, one of them was going to get sold within a year. And my prediction was Rodrigo. And if you're looking right now, he's not sold, but he probably is going to get sold within either now or in January. So the thing is that just Mbappe's signing, I felt like would have made sense in like 21, 22, sure. I feel like at that point, 2024, like just keep the same team the way it is. Like, or either that or go get a Holland. I mean, Holland was with Man City, don't get me wrong, so it would have been expensive, but like go get Holland because that's the type of striker. Like, say you had Vinny with Holland and Rodrigo, that front three is the nastiest front three in the world.
B- Yeah, it's deadly,
Easily.
100%. And it's difficult when you have because see when you look in the last like 4 to 5 years on how certain players in the team have developed.
Mm,
You look at Vinny. Vinny replaced Hazard when Hazard kept getting injured and kept getting fatter. So
mhm.
Vinny replaced Vinny replaced Hazard after Chelsea scammed us for 100 million. But
No, no, no! Don't,
that's who
don't,
he
don't be
replaced.
generous. It was 120 million. Don't be
Yeah,
generous,
exactly.
bro.
Full-blown highway robbery, but
Yeah.
it's okay. So Vinny replaced Hazard, and like I remember watching games where Hazard would be playing and he'd get subbed out minute like 60 for Vinny, and automatically first possession that would Vinny would had we would create a chance, you know?
Hmm.
And so, like that's why he's my favorite player because kind of like how Yamal is for you guys, like we watched him grow
Hmm.
into what what he is or what he's becoming.
Hmm.
And so like seeing Vinny replace like the team, the Perez, everyone didn't think Vinny was gonna be this caliber of player
Yeah.
when he was
No.
replacing Hazard, you know what I mean? So when Vinny turned into this caliber of player, and you still have Mbappe there waiting, you're gonna go pick up Mbappe. Then it became like, okay, what do we do now? Well, we have to play Mbappe at the nine because you're not gonna play Vinny at the nine, and you're not gonna bench him. So
Hmm.
that's what you're gonna have to do. Which I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I still think that it's doable under the right tactics.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And honestly, the way I see it is like this: if Dembele, Barcola, Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, if these four, and like three of them are left wingers, by the way, but if these four can mesh together and they end up winning a Champions League, I don't under Luis Enrique, I don't see why that can't happen with our team. Now, granted, most likely, I would say 60 to 70% Rodrigo is not going to stay. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
just heard earlier today that his agents are in Liverpool right now to speak with the team. So, because
But
they,
I don't
because I
even.
guess
But why would they even want him now? Because like it would have made sense, sure. But where would he even play? Like I know he'd be the left winger, obviously. But like, I mean, yeah, I guess you'd have let's see, Verts, Salah, Rodrigo, and then Ekatike or
and
potentially Isak. Yeah, that's nasty,
mhm,
bro. But
that's a nasty lineup, yeah, for sure.
going forward, since just to move on a bit, basically what I want to talk to you. So now that we've discussed basically a lot of like Madrid or whatever, because Barca doesn't need to be discussed as much, just because it's not really a new team. Barca is like probably going to be the same, if not better, than last year. Obviously, we just renewed Kunde. We're gonna renew De Jong. The big one that hurts is obviously Inigo leaving for free, by the way, to
That was
Saudi.
that was that was a big
So
blow, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
so my thing right now is just what do you think are your prospects in La Liga, Champions League, whatever? Now, me, in my opinion, I'll go first. What I think with Madrid's going to happen is just I think you guys aren't ready for a league campaign just yet, just because with a coach like Xabi Alonso, a lot of people forget because you used the, let's say, PSG example. And Enrique's first season, yeah, they won the league, but it's the French league. They were obviously going to win it, but they weren't that good, PSG, in Enrique's first year, right? Then the
Hmm.
second year, what happened when everything meshed? That's when they got deadly. But that they gave him time. The thing with Madrid is I don't know if they're gonna give Alonso, like, say January, February comes around and you guys are like second or third, but you guys are like a good 10, 15 points off Barca or something like that, and your performances aren't that good. Because at the end of the day, Alonso's a tactician. The thing with Ancelotti, why it worked for a long time, is because he's a man manager. He's not necessarily a tactician. Mbappe and these kind of players are not players you tell to, drop deep and press and do this and do that, whatever, and for a sustained period of time. So my thing is, I don't think a league campaign you guys are ready for. Now, Champions League and Copa del Rey is different because they're cup competitions, and as you know, if we are not being biased, Madrid for like a couple of their Champions Leagues they won in the last couple of years, they weren't the best team necessarily, but they had the better players, and it's Madrid, so they have the clutch gene, right? So you can win Champions Leagues by not necessarily being the best team in Europe, but you can win those. Because last year, for example, one could argue PSG was the best team in Europe. I think they're second. I think Barca personally were the best team in Europe, but that's just my opinion. You guys can say I'm biased. It's fine, but but with the Champions League, Madrid could have a chance, but this year every team has gone way stronger in the Champions League. For example, okay, PSG is probably I'd say the same. They just replaced their goalie pretty much, which we'll have to see if that's a downgrade or upgrade. Barca have gotten a
I
bit
don't.
better. Obviously, they lost Inigo, but they got Rashford. They got a brand new goalkeeper, which was the major thing. So Barca obviously got better. Liverpool got way better. Obviously, Verts, Ekatike, Frimpong, and Kirkez, all of them. Man City have gotten better. Like every team in Europe, because last year the Champions League in general was pretty weak when you think of it, because a lot of the big teams, except for like Barca, pretty much were not at the level. Like Barca, PSG were. I mean, you had teams. Arsenal made the semifinals. Um, Inter Milan, who lost 5-0 in the final, made the finals, But this year, the Champions League is going to be harder. So, what do you think is going to be Madrid's like? What do you think? How's the season going to go? You think how many trophies essentially?
So, so to be honest with you, I seen someone on TikTok say that we're gonna go back-to-back seasons trophyless. I don't necessarily agree, and here's why. I think over the course of this, what, 9, 10 month season with all the competitions that we're gonna be involved in, I think that we're gonna put up a better fight than we did last season. So let's just say, for example, you remember how last season there was a point in the league where we were up by 7 points, right?
It was 10. Yeah, it was 10 points. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually 10 points. Yeah. See, I think us, if we were to go back to that position, I don't think we would slip.
Yeah,
Or like, you know what I'm saying?
my biggest
You know what I'm saying?
concern is your defense, though. That's the thing because okay, Hoyson is obviously very good. Caracas, we're gonna have to see against Barca last year when he was with Benfica. He was very good, but we'll have to see, obviously. But my
Yeah, of
biggest red
course.
flag is your center backs because your right backs for the most part. Okay, Carvajal, Trent. I mean, Carvajal is old and just got off an ACL, and Trent is terrible defensively. So it's not. I'm not gonna say it's like wow, but it's pretty good. But your center back options are well, Rudiger, who the club are looking to sell anyways, and he's becoming kind of washed, in my opinion. Militao, who just came off 2 ACL injuries. David Alaba, who's been injured for the best part of like 2 years. And Raul Asensio, who I think is dog shit. So that's my biggest concern for Madrid, personally, is your
Yeah, I
defense.
mean, I get what you're saying, but you got to apply that to your defense too, because
Mm-hmm.
you lost Inigo Martinez. Now, yeah, we know that he was 34, 35 years old, but he was a pretty
He was
important
good.
piece to your defense. He was
Mm-hmm.
great, you know. But and the worst part about it is you didn't get any money for him, so the replacement idea is out the window already.
Yeah,
So
or
now
Araujo, man. It's gonna be a long season of that guy starting every game. Like I'd play Christensen
does
personally.
see, and that's what I'm saying. I think so. Here's what I think. So ki- like if we were to go based off of Barcelona last season versus how they're going to do this season, this is how I see it.
Mm,
So clearly Flick has a system in place, right?
mm,
There are only two players on your team that are able to operate at their full potential without this system, and that is Pedri and Lamine Yamal.
mm,
And the reason I say that is because Rafinha Rafinha is not going to get you 30 plus GA if he's not under a very specific system where he's just getting fed. Because
mm,
we saw what happened the season before Flick. I
mm.
don't even know if he cracked 20,
He might
you
have
know?
cracked like maybe 15 to 20, but yeah, he was obviously like the flashes were there with Rafinha, but I think the two things that benefited him the most were obviously Flick, but also just having Lamine Yamal on the team.
100%. So I think that Flick system works great for your team.
Hmm.
However, my worry is this, is that Flick is going to play, most likely going to play the same type of formation where he's going to be very, very high press, excuse me, very, very very, very contagious, what's it called, press and possession ball, which I understand. That's a great way to play because even what's their name? PSG play the same way. They play very high press.
Hmm.
So I get it. A lot of teams that play that way, they get results. However, I think that a lot of competent coaches have the ability to expose that system because it is a very dangerous system. And I said it last year when Barca was just like walking through every team. Like when you guys beat Bayern, what was it like 4-1 and
Hmm.
Rafinha had a hat trick that game?
Hmm.
Like when you guys were dog walked Bayern, you dog walked us, just pretty much all the good teams. Like I saw like yeah, you guys were a great team, but like that type of system can be
It's
exposed because
dangerous
of
because
how very
If
dangerous.
Mbappe knew what the offside rule was, you guys could have been 2 or 3-0 up at halftime in that game. I know. Yeah.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
You remember the game? We
Hmm.
he had what was it like six offsides in the first
Yeah,
half?
yeah, he had like six
Yeah,
offsides, I believe two offside goals. Like it was, look, the system is dangerous. All I'm gonna say is, look, without Inigo Martinez, I am worried. But the difference between Barca and Madrid is, yeah, both our defenses aren't the best, but we have our attack and midfield sorted, whereas you guys still are having questions about your attack and midfield for the most part. But I need to, obviously wrap this up soon. But where do you think Madrid's ending up end of the season? So you think what a league position in Champions League? What do you think is gonna happen?
okay, so I definitely okay, so to be honest with you, there is one thing that I for sure kind of know. So last season when we would go into a league game, right? I couldn't give you like a positive, yeah, we're gonna win this game because it's like
Mm,
Getafe or Celta Vigo or some shit,
mm,
right?
mm.
This season I have more confidence that we're gonna win those types of games, and I feel like Barca does too. I feel like in the league, it's gonna, to me, it's gonna come down to facing the bigger opposition, which is Barcelona and Atletico Madrid.
Mm,
So I think those two games in the league are going to be the biggest, I guess, indicators on how it's going to go for us or even you guys. You know what I mean?
mm,
Now, in the Champions League last season, we didn't make it to the semifinals. I think we can make it to the semifinals.
okay.
And I believe that if we do make it to the semifinals, obviously depending who we're facing, how strong they are, this and that, that's what it's going to come down to. Now,
Mm.
to me personally, if we make it to the semifinals and we win the semifinals, you kind of already know
Yeah,
as a
if you
Barca
guys
fan.
make if you guys make the finals, I don't care who you're playing, unless you're playing us. I think
Yeah,
whoever you play in the final, you can beat. So,
yeah, same with you guys, honestly.
I'm thinking basically. So what I think is going to happen next year. Okay, I
Mhm.
think Madrid could definitely win at least one trophy. Maybe like the Spanish Super Cup, you guys could win because it's only a 2 game tournament. So who knows? I mean, obviously you'd have to play us and Atletico, or one of us at least at some point. So there is that.
Correct.
I think you guys can maybe win that. I think league, you guys are going to finish second. I don't trust Atletico that much, so I think they'll be third. I think Barca are going to finish first, but I think Barca are going to finish first by at least a good 10 points, my opinion. And I think Barca, I know the defense is shaky, but we have a new goalkeeper, so I'm feeling bold. I think Barca are going to win. I'm saying trouble, man. I think it's trouble season next year because we came very
Trouble.
close. Because we came very close this year to do it, but losing to like for me, bro, that Inter game will always live rent free in my head. We should have won that. I think with a better goalkeeper now, I'm not blaming Chesney for the goals necessarily, but I think with a better goalkeeper now, we will do better. Lamine Yamal is only going to get better and better. The additions of Rashford is good. It's squad depth. New goalie. Also, that one guy we got, Rooney Bagdaji, however you say his name.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a prominent player, but he can come and he's looked very good in preseason. So I'm saying Barca treble and Madrid are finishing either trophyless or at best a Spanish Super Cup is what I'm saying.
So if we're gonna go based on trophies, I think honestly, all right, hear me out. This might be a crazy take. I think we win if 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 our chemistry builds up at the right time, I think we can walk away with two trophies. I think we can walk away with the Copa del Rey and potentially the league. I think we have a better chance than last season to win the league. But I
Mm,
will say this. I think that you guys are to me, the number one favorites to win the Champions League.
hmm
Um, I just don't see a single team stopping you. PSG's shaky. Bayern's dog shit. Liverpool is the only good team, but we've seen them eat shit. You know what I mean?
hmm
And those are the only teams that I can think of that would give you trouble. But I really don't think there's any other team that would give you trouble in the Champions League. Because to be honest, when it comes to like Madrid, Barca, like if we're gonna meet up in the Champions League, it's either semifinals or finals. There's no in
Yeah.
between.
Madrid's
You
the
know what I
only
mean?
team that scares me to play against in the Champions League just because it's the Champions League. But any other team doesn't scare me necessarily. I do agree.
Yeah, I would say if Liverpool get Rodrigo, I think that would be scarier. I think that would be your biggest competitor in the Champions League.
hmm
To me, I think you guys would have dog walked Liverpool last season if
hmm
you faced them. Even though
Yeah.
they finished first, I think you guys would
Nah,
have dog walked
we
Liverpool.
would have dusted them, bro. Because we would have finished our chances on like Dembele, supposed Ballon d'Or winner. But
Yeah.
anyways, before we go, I would like to thank you for coming on, man. Thank you for giving me your insight. Would love to have you back on soon to discuss some more stuff. Obviously, throughout the season, we'll probably do more of these just to discuss some Madrid and Barca semantics and shit. But anyways,
Oh
guys.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, oh, before you go,
Mm,
like just need to remind everyone that me and you are fans of the best teams in the world. No team comes close. It's just that's just what it is. Like
exactly.
don't cry to me or Brahim. Go cry to your father. Like you
That's
know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying, bro. Ain't no such thing as Liverpool or Man United or none of these teams, bro. It's the two Spanish teams, the best league
Yeah.
in the world. But, anyways, guys, thank you for pulling up. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Go to the TikTok, go to the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube, all of that. Go check out my man Haji on TikTok as well. Poppy Iraqi. Give him some love as
Thank
well.
you. Thank
And
you for having me on.
we'll catch you guys very soon. I just hit my head on this mic, but we'll catch you guys very soon. Peace
All
out.
right.